I need to share something that happened to me 4 nights ago that has shaken me to the core. Something so urgent that Jesus himself, in what I experienced, instructed me to warn every person over 65 before December 2nd, 2025 arrives. As someone who has spent years portraying Jesus on The Chosen, I thought I understood divine urgency, thought I recognized the weight of heavenly warnings. But when Christ appeared before me at 2:33 a.m., tears in his eyes, revealing what is about to strike seniors on December 2nd, and why the enemy has targeted that date to cripple an entire generation of God's steadfast warriors, I realized how little I knew about the spiritual confrontation about to unfold. What he showed me concerning December 2nd, 2025, just 48 hours away for many reading this, is unlike anything I've ever encountered. This isn't just another prophetic impression or emotional encouragement. This feels like an emergency broadcast from heaven specifically aimed at those over 65 and the families who love them. If you're a senior, or if you have parents, grandparents, or elders you care about, what I'm about to share could become the difference between spiritual victory and devastating defeat in their lives. 4 nights ago, I couldn't sleep. I'd been sensing a heavy burden over elderly believers, watching my own aging parents wrestle with feelings of insignificance. I've seen older saints pushed aside in churches, treated as though their season of usefulness has expired. I prayed, asking God why he allows his most loyal servants to feel forgotten in their later years. That's when everything changed. At precisely 2:33 a.m., my room shifted. The atmosphere didn't merely cool. The very essence of the air felt altered. The molecules around me seemed to tighten with a mixture of glory and dread. Then I saw him, not in a dream, not in imagination, but standing there with a presence so real that every cell in my body recognized its maker. But what unsettled me most was his expression. I've portrayed Jesus in scenes of joy, sorrow, righteous anger, and compassion. But never had I seen this: urgency blended with grief, resolve wrapped in heartbreak. Before I could fall to my knees, he spoke. "I need you to warn my elderly ones. December 2nd is a trap hell has been constructing for 40 years, and many are walking into it unaware." Suddenly, I was no longer in my bedroom. I found myself standing inside what looked like a massive spiritual strategy room. But instead of maps and military charts, I saw calendars, millions of them, all open to December 2025. Each one had names of seniors written across it, along with their life stories, their past faithfulness, and their present battles. Jesus stood beside me and said, "The enemy has marked this date for the greatest theft of destiny ever attempted against my older warriors. He knows something they don't know, something I am preparing to pour out on them, and he intends to strike first." What he revealed next made me weep without restraint. I saw seniors worldwide on December 2nd facing what the enemy had orchestrated. Sudden health emergencies that looked natural but were spiritually engineered, family conflicts erupting out of nowhere, financial blows strategically timed, unexpected technological breakdowns that isolated them, and, most severe of all, an overwhelming spiritual darkness designed to convince them that God had left them. "This," Jesus said, his voice shifting from sorrow to fierce determination, "is why I'm giving this warning now." December 2nd was chosen by the enemy because December 3rd marks the beginning of the greatest outpouring of latter-day glory I have reserved for those over 65. If they endure December 2nd with their faith intact, December 3rd will transform them into some of the most powerful spiritual weapons on earth. He then revealed 5 coordinated assaults planned for December 2nd, attacks that seniors must recognize. The first attack he called the wave of worthlessness. Beginning at midnight on December 2nd, there will be a sweeping release of thoughts and emotions meant to convince seniors that they have no value left, that their lives have accomplished nothing, that they are burdens to everyone around them. This won't feel like a spiritual ambush. It will feel like crushing truth. Seniors will awaken that morning with a heaviness so intense, it will feel like their soul is collapsing. Many will face intrusive thoughts of ending their lives, thoughts that seem to come from nowhere but feel absolutely convincing. Jesus showed me an 82-year-old woman who had faithfully served for decades, who had raised godly children, led countless people to Christ, and lived a life of quiet obedience. But on December 2nd, she would suddenly believe her entire existence had been pointless. The enemy's voice would feel so authentic that without warning she would consider taking pills to escape what she thought was a wasted life. Tell them, Jesus insisted, that these thoughts are not theirs. December 2nd's despair is a coordinated assault. When they feel worthless, they must declare the opposite. Their value is in who they are to me, not in what they can still accomplish. The second attack shocked me with how calculated it was. Jesus called it the isolation protocol. For months, the enemy has been arranging circumstances so that on December 2nd, seniors will find themselves unexpectedly alone. Phones will inexplicably malfunction. Internet connections will drop. Cars won't start. Family members will encounter sudden emergencies or complications that prevent them from visiting or calling. Everything that connects seniors to companionship will be under siege. He showed me a 78-year-old man living alone whose children intended to visit on December 2nd. But that morning, one child would have a minor car accident, another would face a work crisis, and the third would deal with a sick child. All events subtle enough to seem ordinary, yet all orchestrated to ensure he would be isolated during the peak of the enemy's attack. Without support, the lies would feel louder and more believable. The third attack was the most disturbing, the health crisis deception. The enemy has studied the medical vulnerabilities of seniors and knows exactly which symptoms will ignite fear. On December 2nd, many elderly individuals will experience sudden chest tightness, dizziness, severe headaches, shortness of breath, or other symptoms designed to mimic emergencies. But these symptoms, Jesus said, will be spiritual in nature, manifestations intended to drive seniors into panic. He showed me emergency rooms on December 2nd filled with seniors whose symptoms would vanish by December 3rd. Many would be evaluated, tested, medicated, and frightened, only to discover later that nothing was actually wrong. Some would be placed on prescriptions that dull their spiritual awareness, right at the moment God intends to heighten it. This does not mean ignore real medical needs, Jesus clarified, but on December 2nd they must test the spirits. Pray first, resist the enemy. Many will see the symptoms disappear when confronted spiritually. The fourth attack stirred anger in me because of its cruelty. Jesus called it the family rupture detonation. For months, the enemy has planted subtle frustrations between seniors and their loved ones. Small misunderstandings, unresolved comments, unspoken tension. On December 2nd, these will erupt. Adult children will feel compelled to confront their aging parents about old wounds. Grandchildren will withdraw emotionally. Spouses who have shared decades together may find themselves in one of the worst arguments they've had in years. Jesus showed me a family preparing a December gathering, but on December 2nd, a simple phone call would spiral into a painful argument that would sever communication for weeks or months. The grandmother, who was meant to receive a powerful prayer mantle on December 3rd, one that would shield her lineage spiritually, would be so wounded by the family fracture that she would withdraw from prayer entirely. The fifth attack, Jesus said, would be the invasion of the poverty spirit. On December 2nd, many seniors will receive unexpected bills, sudden bank notifications, apparent financial errors, or investment reports showing losses. Some of these may even be real manipulations carried out through human systems, but many will be illusions, computer mistakes, clerical errors, or false alerts, corrected after December 3rd. Yet the fear they spark will be entirely real. He showed me a couple in their 70s receiving what looked like a foreclosure notice on December 2nd. It was actually sent by mistake, but the shock and terror would trigger extreme stress, so much so that the husband might suffer a real stroke, even though the crisis itself was never valid. The enemy often uses a person's fear about finances to trigger real-world crises, doubling the impact of his attacks. But here is what he desperately hopes they never discover. Jesus spoke, his eyes burning with holy fire, that December 3rd, 2025, marks the opening of what heaven calls the senior glory outpouring. Every assault scheduled for December 2nd is strategically designed to block seniors from receiving what is destined for them on December 3rd. He began revealing what heaven has planned for that date. If seniors can endure December 2nd with their faith unshaken, then at exactly 3 a.m. on December 3rd, mantles that have been preserved for decades will finally be released to them, mantles that have been waiting for this exact generation. These aren't common spiritual gifts. These are end-time authority mantles, weighty assignments that can only rest on those who have been shaped through years and years of unwavering faith. I saw seniors who pushed through the pressure of December 2nd, waking up the next morning with abilities they had never known before. A 75-year-old woman who survived the attack of worthlessness would rise on December 3rd, able to see into the unseen realm, discerning demonic operations hovering over her grandchildren and breaking them with precise prayer. An 80-year-old man who resisted the enemy's isolation strategy would receive a prophetic mantle empowering him to speak words that redirect the paths of entire families. From December 3rd through December 31st, Jesus said, there is a sacred window set apart specifically for seniors to step into their end-time callings. But the enemy is fully aware of this, which is why December 2nd becomes his final moment to stop them before they become too spiritually strong for him to hinder. He showed me scenes inside nursing homes where December 3rd would ignite sudden revival if the seniors survived the assaults of the previous day. Elderly believers who had felt forgotten for years would suddenly become spiritual powerhouses, leading other residents to Christ, praying for the sick with remarkable results, and transforming entire facilities into places of worship and healing. Jesus then gave detailed instructions for seniors to prepare for December 2nd, stressing that these preparations must begin at once. The first task is to recognize December 2nd for what it truly is, a day of spiritual warfare, not an ordinary date on the calendar. Wake up that morning understanding that every negative occurrence could be part of a coordinated attack. Simply having this awareness breaks the enemy's strongest tactic. deception. Second, arrange backup communication. Seniors should make sure multiple people have their contact details and agree to check on them throughout December 2nd. If you have aging parents or relatives, make a commitment now to reach out to them that day, regardless of interruptions or obstacles. The enemy's isolation strategy only succeeds when there is no prior preparation to oppose it. Third, prepare scripture weapons tailored for the battles of December 2nd. Write out verses about your identity in Christ, your God-given purpose in old age, and the Lord's faithfulness to the elderly. Keep them visible where your eyes will land first thing in the morning. When the wave of worthlessness hits, you will already have truth ready to silence the enemy's lies. Fourth, for seniors taking medications, organize everything clearly before the day arrives. The enemy may attempt to stir confusion regarding medicines, hoping to cause accidental overdoses or harmful interactions. Do not give him that opportunity. Orderliness becomes a shield of protection. Fifth, proclaim December 2nd as a fast day if you are medically able, not necessarily from food, but from whatever feeds fear within your life. Step away from news that stirs anxiety, conversations that drain your spirit, and activities that provoke worry. Fast from fear and nourish yourself with faith. Jesus then revealed precise prayers that seniors should speak before December 2nd. Lord, I declare that December 2nd has no power over me except what you permit. I cancel every assignment of darkness set against me on that day. I reject ahead of time every lying thought, every false symptom, every engineered crisis. I decree that I will come through December 2nd with my faith standing firm, ready to receive all you have prepared for me on December 3rd. No weapon formed against me on December 2nd will prosper. For family members of seniors, Jesus gave different responsibilities. You are protectors, even if you have never seen yourself that way. Your prayers and your presence on December 2nd could mean the difference between breakthrough and defeat for your elderly loved ones. Clear your plans now. Anything that feels important on December 2nd becomes insignificant compared to guarding your aging family members from this targeted assault. He revealed visions of adult children who normally speak to their parents only once a week, suddenly feeling an urgent pull to visit them on December 2nd, unaware that their presence would interrupt a suicide attempt. He showed me grandchildren whose spontaneous phone call on that day would shatter the wave of worthlessness at its height, reminding their grandparents that they are valued, needed, and cherished. He instructed that church leaders must be informed. Jesus emphasized passionately that they must organize December 2nd coverage for every senior in their congregations. This is not an optional ministry. This is spiritual combat. Churches that protect and cover their seniors on that day will enter into revival beginning December 3rd. But churches that ignore this warning will unknowingly lose spiritual generals they never realized they possessed. He revealed churches that formed prayer teams specifically for December 2nd, assigning members to check on every elderly believer. These churches would witness their seniors step into incredible realms of intercession, prophecy, and healing starting December 3rd. But congregations that overlooked their elderly would watch them fall under December 2nd's onslaught, losing not just people, but the spiritual authority those individuals carried. Then Jesus revealed something that heightened the urgency even more. December 2nd, 2025 is not a random date chosen by the enemy. It is calculated based on astronomical patterns, historical spiritual cycles, and prophetic timing. It represents a rare vulnerability in the spiritual atmosphere that will not recur for another century. If the enemy succeeds in removing this generation of seniors on December 2nd, he can interrupt a revival that has been prophesied for generations. He showed me prophetic words spoken over this generation of seniors when they were young, promises that they would witness the greatest move of God in history. Many assumed those prophecies had failed or that they had somehow missed their moment. What they didn't realize is that God preserved them specifically for December 2025, for this precise moment when their age would shift from being seen as a limitation to becoming their divine qualification. The enemy has known this all along, Jesus said. He has watched these seniors for decades, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. December the 2nd becomes his last opportunity to stop them before they rise into their ultimate purpose. But now the warning has gone out. Now they can prepare, now they can resist, now they can fight back with clarity and strength. He revealed individual seniors who would hear this message. I saw a 73-year-old woman who had been planning to stop taking her heart medication on December 2nd because she felt like a burden to her family. Don't do it. That thought is not yours. On December 3rd, you will receive a healing ministry that will touch hundreds. I saw an 81-year-old man who on December 2nd will get a phone call about an urgent financial collapse that isn't real. Don't react in fear. Verify everything with multiple sources. The enemy is trying to use shock to trigger a heart attack. Your assignment on December 3rd involves financing a ministry that will impact thousands. I saw seniors in assisted living facilities who on December 2nd will feel more abandoned than ever. Staff may seem irritated, family may not show up, and the enemy will whisper that death is the only escape. It is a lie. On December 3rd, you will become the spiritual beacon for your entire facility, and your prayers will literally